Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy So, and welcome back to the channel for another episode of OnlyFans.
A Dolphins post-game show where we break down the game and give you our thoughts and reactions.
This week, the Dolphins walk away with a big victory from Monday Night Football, beating the Rams 23-15 on the road. So you're saying there's a chance that they still make the playoffs.
Make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you get notified when we drop hits like this.
It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go!
Fans up in the building, rep the gear from toe to ceiling. 305 stays on the brim, by 95 we popping wheelies. On the way out to the rock, time to see the trio fly. OBJ, Tyreek, and Waddle, speed and swag solidifies. Tools, Babby in the pocket, got my D coordinating. With the Weaver operating, on the sideline formulating. Strategizing for that dub, let's get A-Train on the track. Chubbs and Ramsey, Phillips healthy, boy, we bout to crack some backs. Time to change the narrative, F off with all due respect. Criticism at its finest, break the cycle down the stretch. Top dog offense in the league, let's keep it going postseason. Bring that heat in cold weather, that's a Dade County reason. OnlyFans, presented by Sports with So. Presented by Sports with So.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Joel, big Monday night victory, my dog.
Oh man, what a game for our beloved Dolphins, man. We needed a win. It's been a while.
We needed it. It's been 36 days.
We couldn't remember what it felt like to get a victory, and we got it done on the road.
Yeah, man, and against a tough opponent, right? We beat the Rams 23-15 on the road, Monday Night Football. Big game, national spotlight, and with everything that has been going wrong for the Dolphins, right? A lot of Dolphins fans thought that we were gonna head into this game being the underdogs like we did, and we're up against a tough opponent, and trying to get a victory on the road out there in LA is hard. But the Dolphins were able to pull out the victory, made some key plays, both offensively and defensively, that swung the match in their favor. But there's two ways that you could walk away from this game, right? Before we dive into the details. Either you're really happy that the Dolphins won, right? And like the Instagram post said, you're saying there's a chance, right, that they can make the playoffs. Or, you walk away thinking, damn, we got to win, but there's no way we could keep playing like this and keep expecting to get all the victories that they would need. I don't know which side of the fence you're sitting on, but I know what side of the fence I'm sitting on.
I'm taking it, I think like the Dolphins are taking it, dog, week by week. You know what I mean? Like, we really can't, dive into those details too much because, the beginning half of the season was pretty bad.
Right.
So, you got to take it game by game, I think. And it's just a matter of right now, win every week. If we can win every week, we can start to get back in control because we're sitting in second place right now in our division behind the Bills. The Bills have a substantial lead.
At 3-6.
But the rest of the AFC is kind of, having their issues. There's a lot of opportunities there to potentially make the wild card. So who knows, but that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about this game in particular and what it was that helped get it done for us.
And I think what started it off right was the first drive. The first drive of the game was really what set the tempo for the Dolphins, right? Offensively and for the rest of the game as far as energy goes, right? We marched down the field. Tua makes some good throws, makes a big throw to Waddle, who made an important first down catch during that drive. And ultimately, when we handed it off to Malik Washington, the Rams were not ready for that play, right? We always see Waddle or mostly Tyreek Hill running those type of routes in order to get a ball, as Tua's getting the snap and handing it off behind him. But Malik Washington, man, showing that he can be a part of this offense some way, somehow, right? Maybe he doesn't have a specific position he's lined up as, but this is a dude that if you get the ball in his hand with some room to run, he can make things happen, and he showed that on that play.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar, he's our rookie 6th rounder out of Virginia, another speedster, but obviously with the receivers that we got, the guy like that's not going to get too much play, but I'm glad that McDaniels is, finding ways to utilize these guys, whether it's, special packages like that or special teams or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I agree. That was a big drive for the Dolphins, setting the tone for the rest of the game.
Listen, we hadn't scored a first drive touchdown in like 8 to 10 weeks, heading into last year. So those things are important when you're on the road, right? You want to start off with points and then obviously maximum points in getting a touchdown, and the Dolphins were able to do that. And now we got to flip it to the real story of the game, right? Because right after that, Stafford gets the ball, he starts driving the Rams down the field. Obviously, they have good running backs. They have amazing wide receivers in Puka and fucking Cooper Kupp, Kyrie Williams was killing it last night.
Actually, we kept
but we
them in check.
held him in check. But he had a lot of good runs, right? And they were able to sustain a lot of drives. But even with their first drive, we could tell that that was going to be their problem that night, finishing drives and getting touchdowns. Because the Dolphins' defense, whenever it came into a bend but don't break situation, right, where we're starting to creep inside our own 30, our own 20, they were able to stand up, make big tackles, right, which is something that we burn them for here as a defense for the tackling. Yesterday was really good, and it showed itself in the amount of times we stopped them on third down, right, where maybe they caught the ball on the flat or whatever, and we had a good guy there in position to make the tackle, and he did the job, and that is so huge.
Yeah, that was, I think, my biggest takeaway for this game was, the defense we were able to display on the road.
Yeah.
Against, like we said, a tough opponent. The Rams, won the Super Bowl, 3 years ago?
Right.
For the most part, they had Stafford and Cooper Kupp and stuff like that, and McVay. So, this is a formidable opponent, and then especially they're at home now. They've been on a streak. I think they were on a 3-game win streak going into that game. So, we had something to prove, and the defense definitely did that. We saw everybody get involved, dog. That was a beautiful thing. I saw Javon Holland involved. I saw Cater Kohu involved. I saw the D-line, Chop Robinson involved. Calais Campbell, our boy Zach Sealer was back, getting in on the plays. Like, it was a collective unit, you know what I mean? And a collective team effort that got it done. I wish we would have seen this for that Arizona game where they ran the ball all over us a couple weeks ago. The Bills game, I thought they improved, and then boom, we see it here. It's like, all right, now we got it back in shape.
But there's two things there that really stick out to me, right? And it stuck out to me during the game. You mentioned unit. The unit was completely full, right? We had Ziegler on the line. We had Calais Campbell on the line. And those guys playing together or coming in for one another is a huge impact. And the Dolphins' defensive line was missing that. You shouted out Chop Robinson. Shout out to him for getting his first legit, solo NFL sack. He's able to do that and apply his pressure as the speedster because we're getting that pressure up the middle. It's crazy that Calais Campbell at 38 years old is probably the heart and soul of this defense, right? It's crazy to think that. But when you think about the type of guy he is, the type of career he has, the way he plays, how he shows up, it's no surprise, right? It's no surprise. And what a great move by the Dolphins, picking that guy up and throwing him in here. Because I think that his presence, along with Zach's, is what really drives the rest of the defense. It allows Ramsey to be free. It allows Holland to play more center field. It allows the linebackers to get that extra bit of space on coverages on tight ends or crossing routes on wide receivers. It was such an important factor this game. And even in the sense of how we got to Stafford, right? We ended up sacking him 4 times. He threw a pick. Like, all of that is because of pressure.
And the pick was because of Calais Campbell getting a hand on the ball.
A hand on it,
He had a couple deflected passes, sacks, very involved, very efficient.
He's been our defensive MVP this year, And then I think, the other 2 guys that I would put in the top 3 of that ranking up to this point is obviously Jalen Ramsey and Javon Holland. Because those guys are just... They're not making big game-changing plays in terms of fumbles, interceptions, this, that, and the third, right? But what they are doing is being in position every single time, a majority of the time, and also making a tackle the first time, a majority of the time. We don't understand how valuable that is in football, right? For the common viewer, you see the guy miss the tackle and you're like, that guy sucks. No. And when he makes the play, you're like, wow, great play. That play, when they make that first initial tackle, is so huge. And Ramsey had 6 of those, no, maybe not 6, but he had 3 of those tackles where the Rams are specifically throwing the ball to the outside to Cooper Kupp or any other speedy, running backs there. And Ramsey was there every time, blowing it up. Either stopping it at the line or behind the line. That made such a big impact because then again, we're pushing the Rams back, forcing Stafford to throw down the field, which just leads to our guys playing at their best. Kohu can pick up spots. Fuller, before he got injured, was playing well as well. Holland played well, deflected a lot of passes. Those are things that happen when we get that pressure up front.
And we did. So we had that great performance, and then the offense was able to do what they needed to do to ultimately get a victory. But I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about some of the blunders that were committed on the offensive side of the ball that made the defense have to work a little bit harder and bounce back for the offense every time. One of the main ones was Tua throwing a pick very early on.
Another one, and You know me, Joel, dog. I'm gonna beat this drum to the day I die, dog. My biggest problem with Tua is his decision making. When he gets into those places where he has to scramble, think fast, be alert, whatever the case may be, he loses, or maybe he tracks onto one thing in his mind, sticks to it, and doesn't let that go. He could have taken that sack. He could have thrown that ball away. He could have done so many other things. Like, and I'm sure that they showed him that, or he showed himself that on that tablet or whatever, right after the play was over. But if you're gonna be a limited quarterback physically, right, then that means that you have to be maximizing your skills and attributes. And if your skills and attributes aren't being maximized when you're playing the game, then you're gonna look like a bad quarterback at times when those things happen to you. And that keeps you from that elite, quote unquote, status as far as the NFL standards go. You know, Tua has to know, dog, he has to know that he can't keep getting away with that. He can't. You know, because if you ask the defense to do it too many times throughout the season, you're going to wear them out when it matters the most.
Well, I mean, what happened in this game? You know, we throw a pick, right? And then in that exchange, too. Did he throw 1 or 2 picks last night?
He threw 1. The second one was a penalty, so it came back.
Right, okay. So in that one that he did throw, they're running it back, and Tua is involved in the tackle to stop the runner from taking it back home and took kind of a nasty knee to the head.
Yeah.
Why are you putting yourself in that position, big dog? Why are you diving at people's knees? He's at the sideline. We can play this a little bit smarter. You don't need to be that guy.
Decision making, dog.
We need you to play smarter. And the thing is, you know, we've had him now 3 games, right? We saw him in Arizona, we saw him in Buffalo, and that was obviously the biggest concern is, you know, what's he gonna do when, you know,
right.
he gets pressure or there's somebody in his face or he's making a run. Like, what's he gonna do at that point? And for 2 weeks, we saw him sliding, looking smart, getting the ball out of his hands super quick. Wasn't the case necessarily at all moments last night. There were times where he was very efficient, made some beautiful throws.
Amazing throws.
A couple third down throws that, you know, helped drives going, especially there at the end and all that. But, you know, there was that pick, you know, and then he almost gets hurt. So it's like, all right, damn, that would have been a double whammy.
Compounding the mistakes.
Our defense comes out, boom, forces a fumble on Kyron Williams.
Yep.
We got the ball back all of a sudden after they just got that turnover. And then we end up giving the ball back again.
Yeah.
With a fumble, was it not?
Yeah, that was the fumble.
Where he just didn't get rid of it. No. Didn't make a great decision and gave it right back to them. I think it was like 3 back-to-back turnovers in a row.
And that's the thing with Tua, dog. Like I said, you can't afford that. Because, yeah, against the Rams, when they're playing poorly and nothing's really going their way, you're going to get away with it because the defense is the best thing on that football field. Against all 4 aspects, right? If you're talking about both teams, which was the best offense unit that day, it was the Dolphins' defensive unit for sure, right? But that's not always going to be the case, and the opponent is not always going to let you get by with that mistake. There's going to be a lot of times, especially teams that we face that are desperate or that are really good, right? Just want to knock us out. Guess what, bro? They're gonna take advantage of those opportunities that we give them. Luckily, the defense played really well and was able to not let those mistakes compound. But if you're Tua, you can't put yourself in those situations because A, you know you're getting scrutinized for everything that you do, and B, you're killing yourself and the team whenever you do that.
Yeah.
So don't double whammy yourself right off of the mistake. And look, he didn't have a great game either. 28 for 207 yards, 1 touchdown, 190. Took 3 sacks for 36 yards, holding on to the ball too long, with a quarterback rating of 89.4.
Yeah.
Got to be better.
Especially
if we're going to make that run, quote unquote.
You know, what was it, 20 for 28?
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, the accuracy's there, you know what I mean? The efficiency's there. It's about the little things, bro. Like the things that, again, you know, keep you safe and keep your drive alive, man. Like, you know, we would have a first down run or whatever. We try to commit to the run on first down. All right, nothing happens. Second down, we're in, you know, Ram territory, and then all of a sudden now Tua takes a sack because he didn't anticipate it or he just didn't get rid of the ball, throw it towards somebody, try to get rid of the ball where, you know, it would not force a sack, and instead he's taking the sack, costing us 10 yards. Now we got a 3rd and 20 set up from our own territory.
Which, again, you're a better team is going to take advantage of that. They're going to create pressure. They're going to send everybody on that next play, try to create a turnover, try to create a fumble or an INT, put you in a bad position. They're going to do that. The Rams just didn't take advantage or couldn't take advantage
Yeah,
of that.
it just wasn't their night. And
Right.
Shout out to Jason Sanders on our end. He made, a couple field goals and extra points there that, he needed to make.
That made the difference. That really made the difference. But there's one other thing that really concerns me that stems off of the bad play of Tua, right? This is now the third game. We were expecting the offense to kind of kick into gear by now, see what Tyreek Hill starts to do, see what Jalen Waddle starts to do, and ultimately the production is still not coming from those guys. You got
It's not.
You got Jalen Waddle leading, and Jonnu Smith leading the team yesterday with 3 catches apiece. Waddle for 57, Smith for 45. Mostert had 2 catches for 24 yards. Tyreek Hill 3 catches for 16 yards.
One of them was a touchdown.
And one of them was a touchdown.
Yeah, Tyreek, it came out, he's still dealing with his wrist. He has a torn ligament in his wrist, and he attributes part of that to the arrest at, beginning of the year, a home opener, which is kind of wild to think that, that he said he was already dealing with some stuff, but that it aggravated and all that. So that's going to be interesting how that develops. But yeah, Tyreek Hill has been pretty much non-existent, even with Tua coming back.
And what's worrisome is that both of those guys got paid. So like, what are you doing, right? That's outside of the norm right now for you, right? To make yourself more available, or is it just Tua's not throwing the ball when he has it? Could it be a combination of both? Could it be the play calling, right? Because we still see some dumb play calling happen, throughout last night's game. I don't know, but to quote these guys, all 3 of them, Tua, Hill, and Waddle. When Tua was coming back, everybody was super happy. These guys were like, "Oh, the floodgates are about to open. We're about running our old shit and getting back to putting points on the board." 3 games in, the results have not been there for that receiving department.
But to some extent, we have seen it. You know what I mean? Like
from Jonnu, maybe.
I mean, we can't forget about the 6 weeks that we had without Tua and how miserable it was to watch the same players try to get something going, and because they were missing one guy, they just couldn't do it, at all. It's nice to see, like, towards the end of the game yesterday, bro, Tua had a beautiful throw to Malik Washington.
Right.
Right in the zone, just dropped it over the DB, underneath the safety, like, perfectly to pick up the first down, and it's like, nobody else that we had play quarterback this year is going to be able to do that.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, why aren't these guys doing a better job of making themselves available? What's happening with that play calling that these guys are not getting the looks, the receptions? Because if you tell me, like, all right, we're going to take away your best player on the wide. All right, cool, double Tyreek. He's used to that. Triple him. Fuck it. He's used to it. That means that Waddle should be wide open. In theory, where are we putting Waddle? What type of routes is he running? Why isn't the connection there?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's 3 games in. So even if I give you the 2 games for Tua to get back into a rhythm to finding his guys, there's still a big misstep between those 3 guys. And that can happen because those are our three of our best players.
We need more. We need
that to be a more productive room.
This game, thanks to Jason Sanders with a late field goal try. Took it back to 11 points with a few minutes left in the game, and then they ended up going for the field goal instead of the score to try to go for the onside kick and all that. So the game was, not completely put away,
right?
And to your point, if we get these guys more involved, maybe one of those field goals turns into a touchdown, a long touchdown play, something where we can break off.
Even if it's a shorter field goal, right? I feel 100 times more confident in Sanders drilling a 30-yard field goal than forcing him to kick a 53, 54 on the road.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? Like, let's make the job easier for everybody involved. And a lot of that has to come from production. And even still with the running game, you only get 12 carries out of Achane. Like, that's not enough, dude. That's not enough. That guy needs to touch the ball. I get it. He caught 5 balls and stuff coming out the backfield, but still, you're not talking about a lot of opportunities for our best playmakers.
And the first half, they kind of contained it pretty well, but we came out in that second half, and the few runs that he did get were pretty good runs. He had a couple of 8, 10-yard runs, which it's like we would like to see do more, especially for clock management purposes. You know what I mean? Again, another thing in that game, if we were able to, at the end of that game, keep that drive alive, put together a 5-minute drive. That's really what we needed. We needed a 5 to 6 minute drive to keep the ball out of their hands. And I think that's so big right there, dog, is being able to do that especially now where we stand and how slim our chances of making the playoff is and all that, like, we have to be damn near perfect, dog.
Yeah.
And that is on all fronts.
Yeah.
Offensively, defensively, game management from the coaching staff. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Special
we need
teams.
everything to be on point right now, more than ever.
And look,
And that's the one thing I will credit, dog. Not a lot of penalties last night.
Yes,
The
one
boys
penalty.
are playing a lot more disciplined football, both offensively and defensively.
and even special teams play has been much better since we started burning them.
Facts.
People don't think about special teams, but that's not just not kicking the field goals. That's also making a tackle on punt returns, kickoff returns, like all that shit.
Yeah,
Putting
all
the
of
ball,
it.
like punting it within the 10-yard line. All of that is special teams, and it's improved, which helped win the game last night,
100%.
Right? Before we end up, like, back to what the perfection should be for the next coming game and following week, right? We do have to touch on the really good parts of last night, which really just includes the defense. There's a couple of guys that I really want to shout out individually. Jordan Brooks. This is not a guy that a lot of Dolphin fans know, but this dude is, again, one of those guys who has the freedom to play like he did last night because of the work being put in the front by Calais and Zach. Man, Jordan Brooks, bro. 11 total tackles, 6 totals, 1 for a loss. Anthony Walker, another guy with 9 total tackles. You had Calais Campbell get a sack. You had Zach get a sack. Calais Campbell, Javon Holland got a sack. Quentin Bell, another guy playing off of those two guys balling.
Yep.
We saw Chop put pressure after pressure, especially in the fourth quarter when the Rams were just dropping back almost every play. You could see what type of weapon he'll eventually turn into, right? And I think that he's learning how to maneuver because we saw him hit that spin move a couple of times. Sometimes he ended up in the dirt, right? Where the defender was just able to be like, hey, sit right here, cuz.
Yep.
But that's going to happen. And then on the one that he did get, he was right there on Stafford. He couldn't move. Stafford had no idea where to go, and Chap made a great play.
Yeah, but to your point, being a rookie, we want to see that motor deep into the fourth quarter when we need it.
Right.
Our other guys, our Calais Campbells, our Cedas, those guys might be, tired. So we need you to step up even more so then, and we were seeing that. We're seeing that motor. So even if he gets thrown to the dirt, we want him to keep bringing that energy every single snap.
For sure. Yeah, man. I think that, if the defense plays in this type of way, obviously that'll give the offense an opportunity to put points on the board, right? Because ultimately, you can't, not to sound as a bad thing, but we can't rely on this defense to shut a game out. Right? That's not going to happen. And we probably can't rely on these guys to pitch a fourth quarter shutout. That might be too hard to say, hey, don't let these guys score any more points in the second half, especially if it's a good team, right? That might be really hard to just throw that on the defense for this team and say, go out there and win the game. They do that, and it gives the offense an opportunity to stay in the game. And I mentioned that specifically because this is how I want to wrap up the show. You mentioned it earlier, them playing perfectly in 3 aspects of the game, right? We're going to need to do that against the Raiders. People think like, oh, this Raiders team is terrible. They're firing an offensive coordinator, this, that, and the third. That team is coming here with absolutely nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. They're going to be trying fucking trick plays. They're going to try to catch us doing dumb shit. They're going to be pushing our players, provoking them, trying to get them to draw flags. They're going to do all of that because guess what? They're out to make sure everybody is as miserable as they are in that locker room. So they're going to play hard as fuck on Sunday. This game that's going to be coming up against the Raiders is not going to be easy just because their record shows that they're bad, right? The Dolphins still have to play really well on defense, right, to shut those guys down. We've always had issues covering tight ends, and guess what? The Raiders have one of the best tight ends in Brock Bowers in the NFL right now, and he's just a rookie. So imagine, he's leading the Raiders in yards and touchdowns as far as receiving goes as a rookie, playing tight end. And on offense, they still have a good pass rush. They still have good linebackers, guys who can get off the Tua, force him into the mistakes. If Tua does compound those mistakes that we were talking about earlier, now we're talking about that game being in the mud, and there's no longer a clear-cut favorite or a clear-cut better team. Might not be like that if the Dolphins don't do what they have to do. So I'm not saying that the Dolphins have to play perfectly to beat the Raiders, but they have to damn near play perfect in order to walk away unscathed and make sure that their season is still alive after this Sunday.
I think we're trending in the right direction. I think that this definitely, they're all must-wins at this point. That goes without saying.
sure.
You need to say this is a must-win. They're all must-wins at this point. for us to have any chance. But this is a very beatable Raiders team. Everything that you just said right there, they have a chip on their shoulder, but you know, the reason being because they're not a very good team. They have no quarterback. They have, you know, continuity issues in the locker room. You got guys like, you know, Max Crosby who, you know, are phenomenal players, but they're getting fed up with their own organization. Right. So it's quite, you know, you got to question how much he's going to really deliver for them on Sundays.
Right.
But even still with that, I think, you know, we have now 3 weeks of this offense again. I think that the expectation is going to be on, you know, Cam to minimize his mistakes. You know, we want to see that progression, right? Don't make the dumb mistakes. Get back to getting the ball out of your hand quickly, getting to your reads quickly, sensing that pressure. He made a real nice adjustment at the end of this game where he rolled out and he got out.
Yes.
That's what we want to see more of.
Yes.
You know, that anticipatory rollout, get you out on the run, because we know he can throw on the run, whether it's going out left or going out right.
He can do it.
And he's going to need to potentially do that if Max Crosby is on his shit this game and the rest of that defensive line.
Which is a real possibility.
Is Wilkins playing? Is that a homecoming? He's injured, isn't he?
Well, I think I don't know if they put him on the IR, but I know he was hurt.
If not, that would have been a coming home. You know, so that's another guy you would have to look out for if he was playing, because you know he probably got a chip on his shold since we didn't want to pay him and shit.
These motherfuckers.
But I think it's a very beatable team, dog. I think that, you know, our defense, if they keep playing the way they did the last couple of weeks, that we can get this dub at home.
Yeah.
You know, give the fans a victory against the Raiders.
I would hope that these guys are favored, and I would pick the Dolphins to beat the Raiders. Obviously, dog, this is not a great team. But I say all that stuff to caution us as Dolphins fans, dog, because we really have to take it one game at a time, and even more like critical than that, more one quarter at a time. Because lately, the way that these games have been going out, man, it's like we see one version this quarter, then the mood changes the second quarter, we turn into a running team, and then in the third quarter, we're back to throwing it 50 times, and then it's like a mixture, and it's like you never get the same consistency with this team. So the Dolphins are really going to have to put together 4 quarters of football. I hate that fucking cliche, but they're going to have to do that. You know, they're going to have to do that from here on out. Not only against the Raiders,
100%.
Here on out.
Yeah, because let's say hypothetically speaking, we win, you know, this Sunday, right?
Right.
It improves our record to 4-6.
Right.
We have to face after that
the Patriots at home.
That's our first game against the Patriots, or no, second game.
Second game.
We beat them already
on the road
once over there. So
can we do it again?
If we can beat them at home, which I think again very beatable.
They've been playing better.
Now we're at 5-6.
But they've been playing better.
They have been, definitely. Their defense as well. They're a very defensively minded team. But that would take us to 5-6.
Yes.
And then we're facing, is it the Niners that following week?
Then
the Packers.
Yeah.
Who are fighting, you know, for the NFC North with the Lions and the Vikings and everything. That they need. This is a big game for them. If we can happen to do something there and win that game in Green Bay, because it's in Green Bay, am I wrong? Am I right about that?
Correct.
If we can still win in Green Bay,
come on, dog,
and go to 6-6 somehow,
look,
all the cards are back on the table. But man, that's a long road from here to them.
Here's the one, and I hate to be the one to fucking do it to y'all, man. I really do, dog. But if we're looking at these next stretch of games, these next 3 games, it's very realistic that the Dolphins walk away 1-2. Don't sleep on that Patriots team. Don't sleep on that Patriots team. Going to Green Bay is never easy.
Yeah, no, it's a division game, and we've already beat them once, so now
it could always.
It usually flips.
It could always happen. Our good boy Vic Bermudez always says, when it comes to divisions, you got to put them 1-1.
100%.
Right, and we got one. So let's see.
Except when it comes to the Jets, they're trash.
Yeah, they're just trash. But even still, we got to pay them twice in like 6 weeks.
I know.
So
they're also in that mix.
Yeah, too solid. They're also in that mix because they've been winning lately.
Yeah.
But regardless.
Have they though?
Yeah.
Not really bad.
They won 2 weeks ago. They lost.
We're ahead of them.
Right now. Now.
They haven't lost their quarterback.
Yeah.
So
whatever.
They suck.
With the Raiders, right? Yeah, we can go out there and get the job done against the Raiders. But what I will say is how we look against the Raiders will be very foretelling against how we're going to look or what we try to accomplish against the Patriots and against the Packers, right? Like, do we see the gear up in the offense, right? Are we going to finally see that happen? And we're going to see these guys start to kick off. I don't know. Maybe this is the game where that does pop off. But if it doesn't, and we win this game 14-10, I think there's a lot of issues and worry that we got to have for the rest of the season there.
Sure, you're going to have that.
No. If you're playing the worst, if you're playing technically the worst team in the NFL at home with some offensive weapons, you should hope to put up more than 3 touchdowns on that team.
I agree.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. That's the context.
Let's see
how they win. We both got the Dolphins winning clearly against the Raiders, right? But it's a matter of how they win that will kind of determine how we look at that Patriots
I'd
game.
like to see a rushing touchdown from Devon Achane. I'd like to see multiple touchdown passes from the Dolphins. From Tua. So
You know what I
agree.
want to see?
I'm with you.
I want to see 8 carries for our 3 main running backs.
Each of them 8.
I want to see Achane get 8. I want to see Mostert get 8, and I want to see Jalen Wright get 8. If we can get that happen, at least 8 for each one of those guys, then I'll be very happy with how that game turned out.
If I had to ask for a split, I would like to see 15 for Achane, 10 for Mostert,
Okay.
and give me like 5 for Jalen.
I would want a little bit more from that. He's so explosive.
He is, but let's you know what I mean? Let's go with the guy, bro. Like
He hasn't been
Mostert still
fumbled.
has good miles.
I get it, but he's been
I know he's done with the fumble.
and that's the only thing that I would say.
I get
that's
it.
The only thing
I
that
totally
would say.
get it. But either
And I
way,
love
the
Mostert.
sentiment is there.
I
I
love that
want
guy.
more production from the running backs. I want them to
Group.
get more opportunities.
I want that
they can't
group to
get
get
the production if they don't get the opportunity. So
100% right, dog. Let's
Yep.
get these boys some opportunities and get these guys some carries, man, because
make it happen, Mickey D.
we got too much talent in that running back room. We got too much talent in that wide receiver room to not be putting up points, especially against a bad team like the fucking Raiders.
Let's
bro.
get it done, man. Let's get it done. Move to 4 and 6, and again, take it a game at a time. Take it a game at a time. And you guys can take it an episode at a time here on OnlyFans. We're serving it up after every game. You already know the deal.
That's the best way to do it, to be honest, man, because then you tell a friend
To tell a friend.
to tell another friend
To tell everybody they know.
about OnlyFans and these raw ass shirts that you're gonna be able to get on our Instagram. Hit me up. We got them for sale. Large, extra large, medium. Hit your boy up. We got you. Because you got to be repping OnlyFans throughout the rest of the season because it's going to be a tough one. These next couple of weeks are going to be tough. We're the diehard fans and we're looking for y'all.
Don't call it a comeback. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out when we drop hits like this.
Yes, sir. Until next time. Peace.